Welcome to another episode of Fire and Flair. I am so excited. This one talks all about modern dating, so, should be pretty juicy. We're going to be spilling the tea on some stuff. Let me just say that I don't know what's happening with the energy, or before I was recording, I forgot some of my equipment, almost wasn't able to do it. We're sharing a microphone. Definitely needed to have a drink before this just because of everything. I'm just telling you, something is off. But either way, I feel in a very goofy, giggly mood, so I think it's perfect for what we're going to be talking about. And I have another guest with me. Her name is Danielle, and she's also someone super close to me, another one of my favorite human beings. So she is someone perfect for this episode because, in my opinion, she's the only person I know my age that has actually had somewhat of a normal dating life. So I figured she'd be absolutely perfect. So she's here. Say hello.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here and see your podcast dream come true.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm so happy. So on that note, what even is modern dating these days, honestly? Like, I don't know. Can someone please tell me? Because I'm lost.
I am a little lost myself.
Well, it seems like you maybe found a catch recently based on what you told me.
I did, yes. It took a while, and I think it was well worth the wait, but yeah, it took a few, disaster dates and modern dating to get here, but it's all right.
I know. Well, like my mom always says, you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find your prince. So we all know, with anything, some things are trial and error. So I guess my question for you is, when did you start, with dating apps?
I started probably a year and a half ago. I think it was just kind of time, it was before COVID.
Only a year and a half?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Why was I thinking it was longer?
No, I think...
Well, that's good. Or, not necessarily. I don't know. I just thought that you were on them longer for some reason.
No, maybe it feels like it,
Okay, so solid year and a half. And so let's just start with, the obviously, bad, terrible aspects of modern dating and, how we have to use apps, I guess, or how that's, changed the game in a lot of sense. Okay, so tell me, what have been some of your, bad experiences with it?
I think in general, it's just kind of a shallow way to meet someone, right? Like, you're going to judge someone based off a picture, and to me, that's not a genuine way to meet somebody. People don't take the time to even put a profile together to even get enough information on them. Like, do you have a job? Where do you live? Am I really going to swipe on someone who has 3 pictures and has no information on there?
Right, that's so true. Yeah, when you have no information, you really have nothing to go off of.
Yeah.
So I have been guilty kind of doing that. I don't put what I do for work, also for, safety reasons.
Exactly, yeah.
But I don't know, I guess for me, I always kind of like adding some mystery to who I am as a person. I don't like to put everything out on the table. Right. So, experience with your first date.
My first date went well. I think it went really well. I think that, we ended up hitting it off, and just because of circumstances, like with our own schedules, it didn't work out. But I didn't have a really terrible like first date. I do have to say it did go well.
That's
But
good.
then going back on there, yeah, you're like, new and again, and you have to start rematching, and then that's when you can get some,
Yeah,
it's like starting from square one.
for sure. You never know what to expect. I mean, that's how even it is, going on a blind date. So
Mm-hmm.
at least your first experience wasn't terrible, because I feel like that could really, like, one, turn someone off, scare them, or just set, like, a bad tone in general.
Yeah, it could steer you the wrong way. I think too, it's about your mindset. Like, you don't go on these apps like just because it's COVID, just because you're lonely, just because you're bored. Like, when I went on there, I was genuinely in a good place. I'm in a good place right now. Like, if you're in a good place in your life, you want to spend time with someone, you want to be clear about what your intentions are, then yeah, go for it. If you're going on there to just waste someone's time, or you're bored, then yeah, like you might match with someone and you might not have the same intentions. And that might be obvious right off the bat on date one.
Yeah, that's true too. I think it's with modern dating and dating apps in general, I feel like it's harder to know someone's intention. Where, like, back in the day when you had to put forth more effort to, like,
Right.
get a phone number,
Mm-hmm.
to set up a date, a blind date, like, it always was like, okay, I have the intention of this is a romantic interest. Like, I just feel like people weren't going to put all that effort in if, like, they weren't somewhat serious about pursuing a romantic interest. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, things have totally changed. Like, and I constantly talk about in my episodes, like, this instant gratification factor, because it
Mm-hmm.
factors into so many areas of our life, including dating now. Because
Exactly.
you can just download this app, swipe, 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 like, message someone, hey, let's meet up. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's, like, very easy to set up a date, but also kind of blow someone off too, which, like,
Oh,
we're
exactly.
definitely going to talk about.
Exactly.
um, okay, so tell me about, like, a bad experience that you had. I want to know, like, I keep saying that not because, like, I am glad you had a bad experience, but because I want to know, like, the juicy details.
I just think just like having poor manners, like in general, like, getting there late when you come, like, you look like you just rolled out of bed. You get there and you drink too much, or
So you've experienced, like, all
yeah,
of the above?
you tell me you just got out of a relationship like 2 weeks ago and you were in a serious relationship. It's kind of like
Oh man.
there's a lot that goes on. I mean, it's different for everybody, and sometimes it all doesn't happen at one time, but
Okay, so you just described someone showing up who wasn't well groomed, like they looked sloppy.
yes.
Okay, so that actually
That
happened.
actually
Oh
happened.
my god. And then someone it was like one of those where they were talking about their ex or just got out of a relationship, and you're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be
Yeah,
dating
like you
just
shouldn't
yet.
be on here, right?
And then you said another one, a person drank too much.
Drank way too much on the first date.
And then another person showed up late.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so those are definitely all things that you should not do on a date, and
Right.
just red flags, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so how did you, like, handle that?
Um, I think that, you know, if you feel like the person is, you don't feel uncomfortable, like you don't feel like you're not safe or something, like maybe sit it out. Maybe this person had a bad day. Maybe they're a genuine person and they are interested in you, but you have to sit them out and kind of give them a chance to get to know you, get to know them a little bit. Obviously, if something's ever totally uncomfortable, yeah, don't stay on the date. There's so many ways you can ditch a date. Like, you do not need to sit somewhere where you're going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Like, going back to your gut instincts, like you said, okay, maybe, like, something happened, or let's not judge a book by their
Yeah,
cover right away. But if there's several red flags, or something's telling you that, like, you shouldn't stay, yeah, definitely for safety reasons, always, like, just cut the date short,
yeah,
and be safe in general, like,
mm-hmm.
own transportation, or
Exactly.
sharing your location with your friend.
Yeah.
always like looking for exits, letting the
Yeah.
bartender or server know if you feel, or just anyone in general, I guess.
Yeah.
Meeting in a public place too, definitely, I
Exactly.
think is really important.
And sometimes I don't even think like, if it's a total stranger, there's really no need to. I don't think you need to share your phone number right away. If you can, message each other through the app and like where you're meeting and you can trust that they're consistent with communicating and you're not going to get there and it's going to be awkward, yeah, go ahead and message through the app. I don't think you need to give away your phone number right away. I've never felt the need to,
Yeah, that's another good point that you bring up too. Just how much you share about yourself, even your phone number, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can always block someone, but still.
Right.
And I think that now with dating apps, like, and this was my experience too, like, the first time we met up, we were messaging through the app. And then I think if you want to pursue more with that person or like you are interested, then asking for the phone number is kind of that next step. Like,
Exactly.
oh, I had a really great time on this date. Let's exchange numbers.
Yeah, that's like the perfect opportunity.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so I feel like probably a lot of times people will meet like at like a restaurant or a bar. Did you ever meet somewhere that wasn't that the first time?
Yeah, I think like meeting up on a trail was nice or like doing something outdoors was fun, especially during COVID, right? You could get a little creative.
That's very true.
Yeah, it makes it, I think doing something like, physically active can be fun on like a first date.
Yeah, I agree because I mean, I feel like going to restaurants and drinking like kind of gets old after a
It
while
does,
and
yeah.
like for me, my happy place is for sure nature, being
Yeah.
in the sun, love outdoor activities.
Yeah.
I guess if that's something you both enjoy, that can definitely be a good first date.
Mm-hmm.
I also think like for me, it just I recommend to people and like what my mentality is too. Like I would never want to do dinner on a first date. I feel it's awkward, and then it's like
Yeah.
you have that whole like, well, who's gonna pay, and it puts a
Yeah.
lot of pressure on it. And like I'm always like really shy when it comes to eating around like people I don't really know. So like I'm always just like just drinks at least the first time, or
Yeah.
to feel them out.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and if it's not going well, it's such an easy way to be like, okay, well, like after this drink, like I'm gonna go, or like
Yeah.
I just don't want to drink that much before I have
Right.
to drive. Like I feel like it's just a really good like opener to the date to ease in, get a feel for the
Yeah.
person, but also kind of make that break if you need to.
Exactly. And vice versa. If it goes well, you can, maybe they'll suggest, hey, like, do you want to get an appetizer or something? Or do you want to do something else? Like, could go the opposite too.
Yeah, that's a good
Mm-hmm.
point. You could be like, oh, let's get another drink.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
get food, or yeah. So, I don't know. My recommendation to people, like, start with drinks.
Start with drinks, yes.
So, okay, I downloaded Hinge for the first time.
Sure.
It was like this time last year, but like right before COVID happened, like before everyone knew that things were going to shut down.
Yeah.
So we were messaging through the app, and then we met in person at a bar. We were just doing drinks, and it went so well. Like, I was genuinely surprised. I was like, this is my first time. Like, how could it go this well? Like, I got so lucky. Like,
yeah.
Maybe dating apps aren't that bad. So, yeah, didn't work out. Partially that was my fault, and the timing of it, I don't know. It just played into a lot of different things that were happening with me. But it went well, and that's when he was like, okay, like, let's exchange numbers and, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the only, like, actual formal date that I had set up with dating apps. Because I was off of them for quite a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know, for me, they never really panned out like to anything. I just personally think for me I am not meant to be on dating apps. Like, and I even said like when I was in a relationship with Tim, I was like, Tim, if we ever break up, like I do not want to have to be on them. Like it sounds terrible.
No, and I agree. And like to make it clear, I haven't been on that many dates on here. A handful, like I've connected with someone, we had a thing for a while, if you want to say, but I think that like you said, sometimes you just spend so much time, like wasting time just trying to even get to know someone before you don't even go on a first date because you realize this person's intentions are totally different than mine. you're just not interested and you don't even end up going on a date, which is fine. But
Yeah, because a lot of people treat it casual off the bat. Like
exactly.
sometimes you will exchange numbers before so you can play the texting game, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Where you
yeah.
just are like talking all the
Right,
time.
right.
And then it turns into like, oh, let's Netflix and chill. And I feel like
Oh
that's
boy.
kind of like a good way
Don't
to
even
like
get me started.
decipher like if they're more so just wanting you to like come and hang out right away and not
Yeah,
even be in a public setting. I feel like
right.
that kind of gives you their intentions too. Because that happened to me. Like I was trying, first of all, I as a woman am never gonna meet someone like that not in public for the first time. Like that's just
No,
me. Like I don't feel safe
no.
doing that, you know what I mean? And he
Yeah,
was trying so hard to be like, no, like just come to my house, like blah blah blah. And I'm
yeah.
like, dude, like how many times do I have to say that I'm not just gonna come to your house? Like
No.
so I immediately was like, all right, I'm gonna stop talking to you
Yeah,
because that's a red flag. So
exactly.
yeah, it's like knowing how to spot those things like early
Right.
on.
Yeah, and I think like you said, people go on there for many reasons, right? But if we're talking like what you and I are talking about and maybe what other people are looking for, talking about a genuine connection, like that is hard to find. And you might not even
Mm-hmm.
end up going on a date for a while because maybe that's not what other people are looking for.
Exactly. And I think that that's where we've had that disconnection with the dating
Mhm.
apps and the instant gratification is people aren't willing to like put in that same effort. You
Yes.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just think about before when like you actually had like I'm talking like 1980s, like before cell phones when like you
Back
actually
in the
had to go
day.
up to someone, talk to them in person,
Yeah.
ask for their phone number, call them on their house phone and potentially leave a voicemail that other people could
Oh, that's
hear
so nerve-wracking.
and then like set up a date and like have to like find their address and like pick them up or find a spot like I'm just like even talking about it I'm like wow the amount of effort that used to have to go into dating is
Yeah.
like you know what I'm saying and now it's so different and I
It's so
think
different.
that that's why a lot of people find dissatisfaction with dating apps or like they don't work out is because it's just used as a convenience and more often than not for sex not actual dating.
Hmm.
I mean, what would you say, like, do you find more people are looking for just a hookup versus actual dates?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to judge someone like based on what they're on there for, whatever. But like we said, I think if you're someone who's genuine, um, it's a lot harder to find that. It definitely is. And I think like people who are genuine going on here, they're gonna have a hard time meeting someone. You might have to go on a couple dates. You might have to find out, just through conversations. That's the
Hmm.
only way you're gonna find out.
Right. Yeah, like weeding through. And like you said, it's good not to judge people because sometimes people, they are just looking for something casual. There's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
Like, I totally get that.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I guess it's just a matter of like, yeah, having to weed through, like, if you really are looking for like that genuine connection or someone to date, you're going to have to weed through the people who don't necessarily want that.
yeah. And it's time consuming, right? Like, like I go on there after a long day, sometimes like 10 minutes a day tops, and I'm like, gosh, that was such a waste of time, 10 minutes. But yeah, people are on there all day, like it's like a third job to some people.
Right. And like I said before, nothing worth having comes easy.
Yeah,
So you are going to
exactly.
have to, like, I
Yeah,
guess, put in more time and effort to
yeah.
weed through. And I'm sure it gets old. Like, I've been through it. So let's see. The last time I downloaded it. I'm such like a download and delete. Like, I'm
Right?
terrible. Like, I'll even delete my whole account and start
And
over.
see
Like,
what
I
happens.
am that person. And then I realized too, like, I read it messes with like the algorithm and the matches you
Oh,
get because they don't
okay.
want people like deleting stuff. I'm like,
They
ugh,
want you
whatever.
stuck.
Yeah, so I did it 2 times when I was at your house, and I was like, Danny, don't ever let me download
I
this
remember
again
that.
because I had those moments of like being lonely or wanting attention or let me just give this another try, you know? But after February, like I was like, never again. Like I can't. I just cannot justify to myself
Yeah.
like doing that. Like it's
Well,
just not for
it's
me.
just like you said, it's just been, especially for people, everyone's going through something different. People are lonely right now, right? Like, people go on this thing, and what are they just on here because they're lonely right now? Like, that's what happens during COVID when everyone's at home. People are on there because they're lonely. They might not even want anything right now. They're just on there because they're bored.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's boredom and like
Yeah, yeah.
basically validating your ego.
Right.
Oh, how many like matches can I get? How many likes? Or
Yeah.
let's see who's interested in me, like that type of
Right.
thing. Like that really bothers me because
Yeah.
I'm all about like soul versus ego, and too
Right.
many people are very like ego driven.
Exactly.
And it just, yeah, it's all, I use the word toxic so much. Like I'm probably gonna in every episode find something that I deem as toxic because there are so many toxic things
I
in
think
our
I've
world.
heard that word like at least 5 times already tonight.
For my podcast.
Just like preparing and
Yeah, because I do, like, I find
yeah.
so many things to ultimately be toxic or negative, and,
Mhm.
like, so I think identifying that and shifting how we deal with it is important. So, like,
Yeah.
for me, I personally, I just find dating apps to be negative energy, but that's not the case for everyone, you know?
Right.
Like, it goes back to what is best for you, what is your gut telling you, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Mhm.
I have seen some people like have success with dating apps. I mean, it really is even not just for our generation, like people older, like in their 40s, 50s are using it now because that's just the way that things are.
Mhm.
Yeah, just not for me personally. I've tried it out. I can't. It's funny because I know a couple getting married that met through a dating app, but they are
Really?
literally the exception. Like, so they met in college,
Mhm.
and it's just like funny because that just like never happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they like, this was like back when Tinder like first came out
Okay.
too.
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly what it is today, but like I just like laugh like I'm going to a wedding and like they met on a dating app, but like that's so cool.
That
like,
is cool.
Yeah, again, like the absolute epitome of the
Right.
exception.
Well, at least there's hope, right?
Right? Yeah. For some people out there, yeah, they can give you hope. What would you say is like the app that you found the most success on, or that you like the best?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never had like multiple at once because that's like way too much. Like, who has time for that? That's a lot. You know, maybe like I did Hinge, Tinder, and Bumble. Bumble was terrible. Got rid of that right away. I think between Hinge and Tinder, I was on and off for a while.
Really? I thought Hinge was your least favorite.
It was my least favorite, but I felt like it was more better matches, I guess.
Yeah. So if you had to rank them, you would do Bumble at the bottom, Hinge second, Tinder at the top.
Yeah, I guess so. Surprisingly, I didn't think Tinder would be.
I know, because I feel like everyone deems it as like the hookup app now.
I think just because it's more realistic with like locations and stuff. Like, I think a radius is like, you know, it's not gonna set your radius. Like, even though you say like you're interested in like 20 miles, like some apps will still give you like 30 or something. And
right. I mean, I used Hinge the most, Bumble for like a second, but like you said, when you have multiple ones, it gets overwhelming.
It does. There's no need to be on 3 at once, you know. Find one that works for you and just
And then I tried Tinder, but at that point I was just so over them in general that I was like, I don't know, I can't.
Yeah.
But I find it, I don't know, I guess looking back, like, I feel like out of the people I know that have used dating apps, like, they tend to generate the most success from Tinder, actually.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. I just find it interesting, you know, comparing and kind of like, so going off of that too, I think, okay, so you're like seeing if you can meet someone through these apps, but also, so I personally think that the best way to meet people is always organically first. Like, and usually that's through some sort of like social setting, whether it's school, work, church, you have a mutual friend, you know what I mean? So that's always going to be the best spot, is where there's just, you're in like a very large social setting. And then I have found too that sometimes apps can act as like a middleman for like initiating contact. Like I've heard of, or I know several couples where like social media or apps, like they knew each other personally before through something, whether it was school, work, etc. They met each other before, but then they were swiping and they saw this person and then they were like, oh, I know them. And then it makes it easier to initiate contact or meet in person because you've seen that person outside of the app.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that
that's nice.
Yeah. I've seen that like with like a couple people I know that are dating now is like the apps sometimes act as like that middleman.
Yeah, which is nice because, like, yeah, maybe you grew up in the same town or something, but maybe you weren't in the same social circle, and like
Hmm.
it might be kind of awkward just to randomly reach out on, social media. But if you happen to match online, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I have to talk about that one guy. So the most recent time that I was on it, like back in the winter when
Uh
I
huh.
like deleted it, how he had like a survey that you had to like fill out,
Oh, this is crazy.
and I saved it.
I couldn't believe this when you texted me. I thought you were like joking.
No, I saved it because I knew
Good.
at
It was
some point that
terrible.
like I needed, like I was so confused. I never had seen this before.
Yeah.
Um he made it through Google Docs. So some of the questions on it were, do you have any body piercings? You would like to pursue relationship, casual date, other. Make an assumption about me purely based off my profile and name one hidden talent of yours. Like I was just, oh, it was girlfriend survey. That's what it was titled. And it
That.
says, okay, so sorry, the questions before the ones I just read. Your name, how fast can you run 40 yards or 2 miles? On a scale of 1 to 10, how attractive do you find me? 10 being the highest. I was like, this is not like
This
real
isn't real
life.
life.
Like
No.
what is happening? I'm not like an algorithm that you can just generate and like send a survey to get like the most data that fits your needs perfectly. Like what the fuck? Like
That is
I was
insane.
appalled. I literally commented back. I was like, "Is this for real?" And he was like, "It's just a joke, ha ha ha." Like, okay, you're not joking because you wouldn't take this much time out of your day to make a survey through Google Docs for someone to fill out on your
Right.
dating app. Like, and I'm pretty sure in like his bio it said something like, "This is my last shot before I marry like or get a mail order bride." I don't know, something so weird. That's when I should
Good
have
luck.
known.
Good luck
Like
with that.
that's when I should have known, you know.
Right.
I don't know, but like I had to talk about that because I was just
Yeah.
like
I
very
was
like
hoping you'd bring that
surreal,
up because
right?
that was crazy when
I
you
know I
showed that to
texted it to
me.
you. I was like, Danny, I'm getting off of this right now. Like I can't with these people. Um I don't know. I just like I said, they are not for me. I don't have good luck with them. But you on the other hand have I feel like and this is why I asked you on this episode
Sure.
is because you actually like are someone who I don't know, it's just interesting like how different certain people's like experiences are with
Yeah.
stuff. Like you actually like will go on real dates. Like I feel like that is lacking, I guess, for our generation. Like it's
Yeah.
very like Netflix and chill, convenience, blah blah blah. But like
Hmm.
you actually like go on real dates with people and like have more experience doing that. And um oh my god, I am like so like what is happening to me right now? Like I cannot keep it together. I apologize. Oh my
It's the
goodness.
equipment and throw off our
It
feng
totally
shui.
threw off my vibe today.
um, yeah, I mean, I guess I can add to
Oh,
that.
sorry. I remember where I was going with
Sure.
this. Okay, so obviously you've had like some not so great experiences, but recently through Tinder, you actually like I said, maybe reeled in a catch.
Yeah, I mean, bad experiences, honestly, since I've been on these dating apps, I've probably only seen like been on 5 dates. Like, I got lucky, matched with a few people, and, we hit it off and we started spending time together. Honestly, I think you have to do your part in setting, like, almost like a reputation for yourself. Like, the first date, like, do you want a guy to tell you to just come to your house and like no, if that's not what you're comfortable with, no. If you want to go on a date, you have to set that expectation. And guys are going to respect you for that too. I think going on dates where, you meet at a place, like you said, you get a drink, you don't give your phone number out right away, you take things slow. It's hard to find, but does it exist? Yes. Do people respect you more for that? Yes.
Right, and you've like are proof that you can have successful dates or experiences or meet great people even if you don't date. Like you can meet people, you can meet friends, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's not always going to be awkward or bad, and a lot of
No.
it too is like your expectations, what you make of it. But the most recent person that you happen to connect with, based on what you told me, like
Mhm.
already sounds like so great. Could be an exception to
Mhm.
maybe leading to a relationship or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that it could give other people hope out there who like have experienced frustration or just haven't met like someone they feel could lead to a relationship.
Yeah. I think just setting a date like you said, grabbing drinks. I think when you bond with someone on simple things, it makes it so much easier. Like music, like okay, we can literally listen to music together. You like going for walks. I love going for walks. That's great. Next date, how about we go for a walk? Like you just really want to try to get to know someone through conversation, find out what they like, and do those things together. And then while you're doing those things, you're going to learn more about each other.
For sure, because like you said, with this particular person that you're talking to now, like TV, you're like you've been talking for what, like 2 weeks now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've never even once watched TV. Like it was all about spending
Yeah.
quality time. And that not only goes for when you're first dating someone, but something that has to carry throughout the
Mm-hmm.
relationship so that things don't become stagnant or you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It's like genuine quality time. Like the Netflix and chill was never brought up, TV was never watched. Like,
No.
and I think that
Like
like,
it's nice out. Like you want to go
yeah.
like golf, you want to go outside, you want to like yeah, go do something.
Yeah, and that's like also a really good sign too, I think, for anyone that is using an app or starting to date someone is like
Mm-hmm.
how invested are they in getting to know you as a person? Like, are you spending quality time together?
Right.
Because like I can tell you right now, based on everything you told me, like all the good signs are there
Thank you.
so far.
Thank you. Yeah,
But yeah,
right.
I'm super excited for you, and
Thanks.
it would just like I said, be crazy if like you were like another exception to like, oh well,
Yeah.
I met my
Right.
significant other or husband through Tinder.
Yeah, I don't know. Like off to a good start and
Right?
I just think things like that, they're rare to find. So once they do happen, it's kind of like maybe it was worth the wait.
Definitely. They always say that. And I feel like the best relationships usually come when like you're not looking for them either.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they always come when you least expect it.
Yeah.
So as for myself, like just to let everyone know, like I am not an expert in dating. I don't go on dates all the time. Like I'm not this person that is sought out all the time. I'm merely just talking in general, like my experiences, Danny experiences. So just don't
Yeah,
want to
I'm
like
not an
you're
expert
right. Don't
either.
want to give the
but I'm
perception
like
that we're like
but
dating
I'm like
experts.
5 dates and like
There's just
right.
like things about modern dating that I thought would like be good to talk about
Yeah.
again, and I'll say this every episode, like take something you can relate to.
Mhm.
So, yeah, as for myself, like I said, I'm no longer on the apps. I've honestly been like way too busy to even think about like dude, I can't even get my equipment set up properly today, much less
That was like
like
an hour
right. I'm
ordeal.
trying to balance like my 40-hour
Yeah.
job and the podcast and like all this other stuff, but this like I love so much. Like this just feeds my soul and brings me joy. So at the end of the day, I still have energy to like want to do this. Just
Yeah.
was a really weird start. Like I forgot like some of my equipment. I didn't even know if we could record, but it all worked out. So, what was the next thing I wanted to bring up? So I feel like going back to like how what dating is now, I guess in general with like
Sure.
apps and stuff and social media, um, like why does courting like not exist anymore? Like that used to be a thing, like courting. Like I don't even know if most people in our generation know what that is.
I honestly think the problem is I don't even know if people know what they value anymore. Like, what are you, when you're looking at another person, like, what are your values? What are you looking for in a person? If,
Yeah, that's so true. But like I don't know. Do you find that to be true traditional with like courting and like a guy being like having like that chivalry aspect where you expect them to open the door and pay for the first date and do all that? Because oh, also talking about that,
sure.
on your first dates that you've had, do you find the guy more often than not does those things or at least pays?
I find at least pays because they think, like, that's, again, that's like just that instant gratification thing where that's the easiest thing to do is throw down your credit card, right? But did you open the door? Did you yeah, like those little things do matter. I think it says a lot about a person. Like I
Mhm.
think it's super attractive if a guy pulls out your chair, opens the door, like those little things that cost you no money to some people mean I would honestly, I would rather have somebody do all those things and split the check. Like, I would much rather have that than someone who, doesn't open the door, shows up late, um, not very, doesn't seem like he's very like conversational, and then just throws down his credit card. Like, that I could pay for myself. Like,
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I
so
mean?
true. Yeah, like someone just paying for something versus showing like
Yeah.
actual politeness and
Yeah.
courtesy is going to go further than just like paying for the date.
Yeah, like most girls can pay for themselves. So, like, how are you going to treat them when you get there?
Yeah, that's so true. And like I've heard an argument from a guy's perspective like, "Oh, well, women are all about equality now, so like that's why chivalry is dead because why would we do all that?" But it's like you brought up like a counter argument to that just now like, "Okay, yeah, we are fighting for like equal pay and do make as much and can support ourselves. So at the end of the day, you
It's
paying
nice
for the
when they
date,
do, right?
right, is not really doing anything for me. Like
Yeah,
what is going to be better is just I guess doing those things that are deemed like a gentleman or polite in general. You know
right.
what I mean? So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna, next time someone's like, oh well, chivalry's dead because blah blah blah. Okay, well this
It's
is why
not.
it shouldn't be dead. And like same goes for girls. Like a girl being polite and holding the door open or just I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
And on that aspect, too, I also think once you get to know somebody, I think girls should pay occasionally. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think there's, if you go on like, 4 dates with a guy, like, yeah, if you're into like you like them, you enjoy them, you're having a good time, they respect you, yeah, pick up the tab every now and then. Like show that you also care about them. And yeah, maybe you're not going to hold the door open for a guy, or you're not going to do that. You can do little things too to show that you also care that don't cost you any money, but
yeah,
are going to make a huge impact.
yeah, exactly. I think that it's always okay for the girl to pay too. Like, never just expect the guy.
Yeah.
I just think, like, I don't know. So, I've heard, like, oh, well, the guy should always pay at least on the first date. Like, when I had my first Hinge date with drinks, like, we each just had two drinks. So, like,
Hmm.
I didn't mind paying for myself. Like, I would never expect someone to pay for
Exactly.
me.
You would
So,
never
like, I
expect
asked
it.
him, I was like, honestly, like, I don't know how this works. I can pay for myself. Like, just tell me. Like, I don't know. And he's like, no, it's fine. Like, I'll get it this time. I'm like, okay. And, like, I maybe would have gotten it the next time we went.
Yeah.
But I just, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I get like that stuff like gets me flustered, like thinking about
It's
like
kind of
who's gonna
awkward.
pay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but once you've been hanging out more and you establish, like you said, by a girl showing interest, like, okay, I'll like pick up the tab this time.
Yeah, it shows that you're interested too.
And then okay, so we talked about like courting and like kind of why things aren't traditional, but how some of that I think should stay around, even with modern dating, I guess. Like when
Hmm.
you are on dates, just having that general like politeness and whatnot. And then I don't know, I just find like I talk to so many people of all ages, like dating is so much harder now than it used to be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I mean, we've only been alive for barely 30 years, but like, I probably like talking to my mom and like her experiences, like, I guarantee she would tell me that like it was way easier back in the day than it is now. Like, she just finds people are like flaky or just they care more about their career and what's convenient for them than
Yeah.
investing that time that we kind of had mentioned before.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like people are flakier, the instant gratification factor, right? Like, oh, if I don't like, maybe I'll just go on here tomorrow before the weekend and see if there's someone else I want to swipe. Like, honestly, people's schedules are so crazy these days.
Yeah,
Like,
they are.
people might work long hours. They might have, like, some people might have more time to invest in this than others. You just have to trust your own confidence in, like, the person that you're talking to. If you hit it off with someone, like, trust that, yeah, you make plans this weekend, you're going to go this weekend. Like, you
Yeah,
shouldn't have to worry about if you're talking to someone and you genuinely think that they're on here swiping away while you're here working or doing something else, like, then that person's not for you.
Yeah, I think it's like, because like you said, everyone's
You're
kind of
just
on
24-hour
apps
access
for
all day, you know, to people.
everyone's on apps for different
Yeah,
reasons. So you do kind of have to accommodate others' needs and
right.
schedules, but like it shouldn't be so much to where you're constantly bending over backwards because
Yeah,
like some people travel for work, they have children, they have this
right.
and that, but it's like if you're not willing to like put in the time
Yeah,
necessary that's needed to like get to know someone genuinely, like you can't just treat them like a convenience. And like I've
exactly.
had people like that I know that have had experiences with that. Like the person that they are kind of talking to, like they just treat them like a convenience. Oh, well, like I go out of town a lot for business, so these are the days I'm available. Maybe I can see you. Like, okay, I get it, but like,
Hmm.
one, I don't think that's a right way to treat a person. And
Yeah,
like, if you are going to do that, you need to be very clear about your intentions and
right.
that you're going to be that way up front. But also, I don't think it's fair to the other person.
It's not.
Like, don't just treat someone like a convenience or like you can only accommodate them when it's convenient for you. You know what I'm saying? Like there
Yeah,
needs to be like that give and take.
yeah, I
And I
guess,
feel like people are so like, and that's my problem with dating apps is that they're so ego driven that people are just like, I don't know, like, and I hate narcissists probably because I'm an empath, which is like the opposite. So like I've attracted narcissists in my life, but like I just feel like we're becoming almost like a narcissistic society because everyone is so into themselves. It is the
yeah,
instant gratification, it's the swiping, like basing things solely off of looks, what's convenient for me. Like I
yeah,
don't like that. And that's why I have such a problem with apps in general. And I
you're
feel
right.
like if you are on an app and you're going to be that way, be very clear up front with
Exactly.
the other person, but
Hmm.
also maybe like don't be on an app and just treat someone like
Yeah,
a
right.
piece of shit like that's
Like,
convenient for you.
just don't do it. Like, yeah, again, it comes back to like, are you even in the right mind frame to be on this app, like meeting and interacting with other people? And then,
So like okay, I guess more so people probably have that mentality of like you're looking for like a hookup. So okay, fine, whatever. Like if you're
hmm,
not the only one doing that, the other person is the same, that's fine. But don't like
don't
lead.
expect everyone to be on that
Yeah, don't
level.
string someone along just at your convenience
Yeah,
who's genuinely interested in
right.
you because that's just being an asshole.
And it all comes down to like, no matter what you have going on in anything in life, you make time for what's important. If you like someone and you hit it off with them, you're going to make time for them. You're going to find a way to call them during the day. You have 24 hours. You will find a way to call somebody if you like them. You
That
will
is
find a
so
way
true.
to text somebody. It literally takes you 1 second. And don't even say that you're not on your phone, you're not busy, because everyone has their phone on them. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like
Like,
I know like for me at work sometimes I genuinely like if I'm so busy I'm not looking at my phone,
right.
fine. But like I'll tell that to the person like, "Oh, hey, I'm so
Exactly.
busy at work," but then I'll try to respond to them as
Yeah.
soon as I can if I really like them and
And
vice versa.
nobody has time. Nobody wants to have this back and forth conversation all day long on their phone. I get it. But it does take 1 second to text somebody,
Exactly.
hey, on your lunch break, hey, thinking about you, hope you're having a great day. Little things like that, if someone is interested in you, will mean so much.
For sure. And that's
Yeah.
like another good way
And
to
it doesn't
kind of
cost you money.
right? Exactly. Another polite thing you
Yeah.
can do that doesn't cost money.
Right.
Why can't we all live by these mentalities? But that I remember you saying like someone that you had met through a dating app was like insanely busy, had like a very demanding job, was in school, in the military, just you're like I don't even know how he balances everything. Like he
Yeah.
barely sleeps, but he still made time for you
Yeah.
even doing all of those and you said if this experience taught me one thing, it's that if someone's genuinely interested in you, they put forth the effort.
Put
They will,
more effort and time than anyone, like,
yeah, it's not questioned. You're not wondering, oh, why are they taking so long to text me back? Like, are they
yeah,
thinking about me? Why haven't I heard from them? Like, if you have to ask yourself any of those questions, like, more than likely they're not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. But then I've also, hit it off with someone, got to know them more, said they were always really busy, with work. I get it. But then when I find out you have like a Snapchat, a Twitter, an Instagram, a Facebook, and you get all these alerts and you're answering those all day, really? You have time to do that, but you can't, like, you can't, like,
Exactly. That's so
no, I'm
true.
sorry. Like, that's not an
Well,
excuse.
and
Like,
people should know now and be smart enough, like, okay, if you're gonna add me on like social media apps too, and
yeah,
I see you're on those, but you're not responding to my text, it's a slap in the face. Like, and that's what
it
feeds
is.
this self-important concept that I fucking hate nowadays. And like, sorry, I'm gonna say the F word and swear sometimes on this, just a
Explicit.
forewarning for some people, because even like this goes for like my own friends and family, and I've been guilty of it too, not very much because like I try to be considerate, but
Yeah.
like there are times where I've gotten really frustrated because like someone hasn't responded back to my text, but I see them on social media. Like, why? What are you doing? Why is it so hard to formulate a text message? I don't understand.
You
But like,
said people and their self-centered
it's
mentality.
yes, everyone is so self-centered. Look at me. Look at what I'm doing all the time. I'm so important that like I have to post what I'm doing, but I can't respond to my text and actually give attention to people that mean something.
Right.
Why are we like this now?
It's terrible. It really is.
Oh my god, just wait until I talk all about social media on one of my episodes. I am so excited for that one, but I brought that up just because it relates to what we're
Yeah.
talking
No,
now. And
definitely.
like, you know, when you are dating someone, like if you happen to be friends with them on a social media app and you have to question why are they doing
Yeah,
that but
not
not
that you're stalking
responding.
them or you're like obsessed with the idea that like why are they online? But like if you casually notice when you're with this person, like the amount of notifications that come on their phone and you could see that they've been on there all day but they couldn't call you, like you need to question what you're doing.
Exactly.
Like this
Yes.
person is
So
clearly not for you.
right, like read the signs. And
Yeah.
that's like what I want to kind of jump into now is like reading those signs when you are first dating someone. So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about obviously the first date, we kind of,
Yeah.
okay, what are the red flags? And then when you are, I guess, the communication standpoint of that,
Mm-hmm.
like this person, like it's so funny to me because again, I talk about how everyone's experiences are so different. You always get the guys that call you. Like, who calls anymore?
I don't know.
I would never pick up the phone and call, but like you, and like that is another way to know that someone is interested, especially nowadays. Like, nobody
It's so
picks up the
rare.
phone.
It's so rare. I think it's like, you know, the first time someone, like, I was like, is he going to cancel? Like, why is he calling? And then you realize, like, no, they're just calling because they want to talk to you. Like, again, someone who's super busy can still find time in their car doing this, that, whatever. They can find time to call you. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. I feel like nowadays, because nobody calls, that's like another big indication someone, like, it's like such a warning, like,
right?
or not warning, but like flashing, like,
Yeah.
sign, this person is interested. They're
Yeah.
calling you. That's just so funny to me. You literally always get the guys that call. Like, it cracks me up. But that's great for you because then you know right away, okay, hey, this person is like actually interested. They're putting effort into
Yeah.
communicating. It shouldn't be one-sided.
No, it shouldn't be. It should be equal. And it's a really great way to get to know somebody too. Like it almost forces you like to have conversation. Not forces you, but like it feels natural. I guess when you're together and you have pauses, it's different. But when you're talking on the phone, like you come up with things to talk about. Like
Yeah, you're almost like put on the spot to
it
be like,
is.
okay, now I have to
And
like,
you really get to know someone better that way.
right, I can't bullshit through text
No,
and
you
try
can't.
to, sometimes texting is even exhausting in itself,
It
trying to
is.
like type all these
Yeah.
characters and
Right.
constantly like
Ain't
you'll
nobody
be
got
like
time for
watching
that.
TV and then you'll get a text, okay, I have to pause, respond. 5 or 10 minutes goes by, same thing. Like sometimes it's constant interruption, but then also it's almost like I feel like sometimes I have to think so hard about what I'm responding so I
Right.
come off a certain way. Like it can be exhausting in a sense.
It can, and I think too, once you meet someone who you can connect with, like over FaceTime or a phone call, maybe you do have similar qualities where like you both like to unplug a little bit. Like maybe that's the same kind of person who at nighttime just wants to chill and watch a movie by themselves, which is fine. Like you said, it's nice to just, yeah, it's nice to text somebody, but it can get exhausting. So yeah, it's nice to be able to, we're both at home sitting here. Why don't we just talk on the phone
Let's
instead
bring
of
calling back.
right? Like instead of like texting each other while we're both in separate places, why don't we pick up the phone and talk?
Right?
Like,
Let's make calling a thing again.
yeah.
Like as if that's such like a, what do you call it, retro,
right?
or
Like a old school.
I know, what is the term I'm thinking of? Retro, vintage, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as if that's such like people still talk on the phone today, but I'm just saying like more often than not we're like texting even our own family members. So, when it comes to dating, let's make calling a thing
I
again.
like it.
Like that movie, how to no, what is it? I wanted to say How to Lose a Guy in
I
10
was
Days,
just
but
gonna
that's
say.
not it, even though I love that movie. No, it's oh, He's Just Not That Into You.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that movie, I was a freshman in high school when it came out, so like it was kind of whatever to me, but like looking at it now, it's hilarious
Isn't
cuz it's
it?
like very spot
It's
on,
so spot on.
right? And so like I remember the girl that's like in like the first dating
Hmm.
stages, like that's like her storyline, like just her experiences and like seeing, I guess, the signs and trying to read them and
Yeah.
like decipher them, and like she still has a home phone even like at that point. And so
Oh, that's right.
yeah, like having to like she, give someone her number hoping that they'll call, or like she'll have to call them and then
Yeah.
maybe they leave a voicemail. Like I don't know, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And then with that movie too, like they said if a guy gives you his number, he's like just kind of like whatever, like,
Exactly.
oh, if you text me, great, but if not, like, I don't care. But if he asks for your number, then it's like he's for sure interested.
Right.
I don't know how true that is, but like I do remember that
I
from the
could see
movie
that
too.
being true.
Well, I think about that now, like in my own experiences, and I feel like I would have to kind of agree that like a guy's more so going to be interested if he like pursues you or is like, oh, can I have your number? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's so rare. Like to me, it's just so funny even going to a bar and you see like there's single people. Like clearly people are single. Might even be at the bar like by themselves or just with one other friend. People are buried in their phones. Like how are you going to meet
Oh my
somebody?
God, so true.
Like it's like we're like these people in a bar all buried in our phones and probably people are probably on dating apps. Like, hello, there's probably like pretty girls or pretty guys, whatever you're into, all surrounding you, but you're not gonna notice because you're on your phone.
Yeah, like we're looked at as weird if we're not looking at our phone if we're by ourselves. And
Yeah.
that whole thing needs to change. Like I've sat at a bar and not looking at my phone. Like I took me a while to get to that point, and this is
Yeah.
recently, but I'm
Yeah.
like, why do I feel compelled to have to do that? Like that's so annoying. And
Yeah.
you seem unapproachable when you are looking at your phone
Exactly.
too.
Because who knows? Are you talking to a girlfriend? Who knows, right?
Yeah,
But
do not want to be bothered. So
yeah.
I think too, like if you're out and about and you maybe want to meet someone organically and not through an app, don't be on your phone.
Look
Like,
approachable.
yeah, exactly. Like, just you can look at your phone whenever, but like, you're just, yeah, you're not going to seem approachable or
Hmm.
like you're giving attention to wanting, what am I trying to say? Yeah, like you're gonna seem like you don't seem open or wanting attention to meet people or talk to them. Like strike up a conversation. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
feel like we've lost that so much, and it makes me really sad.
it is.
Yeah, so I think that overall we need to stop burying our phones in our oh my god, I can't talk. Burying our heads in our phones for multiple reasons that encompass a lot of things in life, but specifically with dating. And that leads me to my next point. So, obviously, COVID hit us pretty hard on all different levels,
Hmm.
especially dating. People felt more isolated and lonely, and we didn't have as much human interaction. And even when we do now, it's changed like, oh, 6 feet apart, no large gatherings, you have to wear a mask, blah, blah, blah. Do you think, like, for me, especially being single during this time, worry that, like, are things ever really going to go back to normal? Or I
Yeah,
don't know, like when
it's
it comes to dating, it freaks me out. Like, are people just going to get so used to being at home, and like, are we going to value human interaction more and not take it for granted again? Or are we in a different mindset now permanently because of it?
it's such an interesting question.
It freaks me out because I want it to be that we will value human interaction because we need it as human beings. Like, I've taken enough sociology classes to know that like we're social beings, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, we can't live and thrive on our own. And
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's been studies like for babies or like little kids who they didn't have like a proper upbringing or socialization. Like they
Mm-hmm.
literally aren't able to like talk or like do proper things because we need that from our parents. Like we're just social beings in general, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously some of that has changed with the way things are, but I think at some point like we really need to work on getting back to maintaining that social interaction.
Yeah.
And like again, whatever is like comfortable for you, but like also I feel we've gotten so afraid of this virus or dying that we've stopped living.
Yeah. I think
People are just so scared now.
I think you've hit on a lot of points. Like it's kind of, first of all, going on dates, you have to know what the other person's comfortable with. Um, you have to know, like, has this person gone on like a bunch of other dates? Like, and then you're gonna go, like, I don't know, you're kind of, it's like you're like exposing yourself, if that makes sense, physically.
Yeah, I mean, like, I personally don't really worry
Yeah.
about it, but that is definitely thoughts that might be going through someone's head now. Like,
Yeah.
am I gonna be more at risk,
Cautious.
yeah, of getting COVID if I go on dates now or whatever? And
Yeah.
so I understand having to, like, be safe about it, which you can, but also, again, with, like, just stop living in fear so much. Like,
Yeah.
we as people, we need social interaction. You cannot lose that.
I mean, too, I think it's interesting, like, talking to someone and getting to know them now, because there's not so much to talk about, if that makes sense. Like, most people are working from home. Most people's daily lives has changed drastically. Maybe there's not, your daily life, like, you're not out and about as much. You're not interacting with other people to tell them a funny story about what happened doing this random thing today. So you have to find, I almost think it's better because you really learn to connect with someone and get to know them based on like who they are, and not so much like what's going on during their day. Like, yeah, you hear about their day, but like most people's day-to-day living right now is becoming a blur. So you have to find other ways to have a conversation with someone and find out more about them. Not just about like, what'd you do today? Oh, the same thing I've been doing like the past, however long we've been in this new world, so to say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, like you said, life kind of has gotten a little more boring.
It's
and
more like autopilot, I guess. Right.
So, like, if you are talking to someone new, like, trying to initiate and generate, like, conversation, it's not, I guess there's just not as much room for, like, distraction as there would have been before.
Yeah. So you're just kind of getting to know who they are as a person, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and before, too, like, just, like, with being out more at concerts, sporting events, like, going to work, traveling more, like, all that did factor into, like, dating, too. But I think people are, like, a little more grounded, which is one of the benefits to COVID. People are more grounded. Maybe in some ways it's easier to form a connection if people are willing to put in the effort, like, with
That's
that.
Like the number one thing, right? Like, willing to put in effort.
But, like, before we had started recording, I was talking to you, like, with this new person that you're seeing now, like, I don't know, for me, like, I would just feel so weird and awkward, like, walking into a restaurant, like, not, like, meeting someone for the first time, but, like, we have to have our mask on, and, like,
it's like a big reveal, right? Like, let me take it off.
I don't know, like, I just don't like that. It
Yeah.
makes me, like, it's already awkward and uncomfortable on the first day, and then you have to, like, factor in all the COVID rules.
Yeah.
Well, every restaurant's different. What's the COVID rules there? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. And then I know some people are doing, like, Zoom dates. Like, okay, we get enough Zoom from work. Like, you really want to factor that over into a date? Like, I think that's obnoxious.
I could see, like, the beginning of the pandemic, I will admit.
Yeah.
Like, one person, I did do a Zoom date. And I'm glad I did, because honestly, like, going on an actual date would have been quite terrible. Like,
just based on your experience with the Zoom date.
Not much conversation, so I'm like, in person, like, having to put a mask on, like, the whole thing, it just would have.
Yeah, but do you think the
enjoyable.
setup of having to do it over Zoom made it feel so stuffy and awkward, and that's why it didn't, like...
To be honest, like, we both had a drink, and we were, like, just trying to make it as casual as possible, because everything was closed at that time. This was, like, last year, so there was really no other option.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Like, when there's nothing open.
Yeah, but, like, now that things are opening, like, no, like, people want to go out now. Like,
yeah, like, you wouldn't, like, set up a Zoom date now now.
Yeah, no, like things are opening. Like, yes, be safe, be cautious, obviously. But yeah, if places are open, like you probably want to meet people in person.
Yeah, it's always the best way. Like, I can promise you 9 times out of 10 because first of all, people look different in pictures than in real life. Like, I hate how I
Yeah.
look in pictures. Like, I just don't think I photograph well. Like, anyone that knows me knows I hate taking pictures. Like, I'll literally, like, look at it and be
I
like, ew,
know
I'm
you
a
do.
hideous monster. Like, okay, so you have
You
that.
always hated that.
People look different in pictures versus real life.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I cannot. I'll be like on a roll and then I'll just stop. Like my brain just stops. Okay, so I always think that meeting someone in person is going to be the best for multiple reasons. Obviously, you have the picture thing, but you get someone's overall vibe too in person. Like I said, it's your gut instincts are going to pick up on like those red flags. You sense the chemistry right away, like whether it's physical, more than just physical. So you're picking up on if you have chemistry. I don't know. I just feel like too like a person's personality is really going to matter the most out of any other thing too. Like at the end of the day, that's what's going to keep you around. What you're going to be drawn to is someone's personality, not just looks. Like yeah, maybe at first glance, but or maybe they don't catch your eye at first, but you start talking to them and like just their charisma or something about them is what like you know what I'm saying?
Draws you in.
Yeah, like and that's not gonna come through looking at pictures and stuff like that. That's
People
why like
can edit their pictures
right.
to infinity.
They can literally
and beyond.
curate their whole life and image on social media and be someone so different in person, or you meet them and you're like, yeah, you're not who I thought you were at all. You actually suck.
Or they're shallow, right? Like they might look good, but they can't hold a conversation. They're
for sure, because there's people that
awkward.
like I've met in real life that you know, yeah, like they catch my attention or like I think they're attractive, but when you talk to them again, you're gonna sense like, is there chemistry? Do we have things in common? Can I hold a conversation? Is it flowing? And that's why for me, I think that meeting someone in person is always just going to be the best way, I guess, to like have the most positive or successful experience with dating.
No, 100%.
So kudos to people who, you know, are able to find significant others or have like a successful experience with dating apps. Like I said, they're not for me personally, but just to kind of give perspective on why we should take more chances now meeting people in person. Like technology has already disconnected us so much to begin with like phones, and now you throw COVID on top of that. It just really like to my core concerns me what that is going to be mean going forward for dating, because I don't want to do Zoom dates like that. I don't want to use dating apps. That's not me, you know? So like I do worry about these things. Like it definitely made more sense to do that like last year when things were really shut down, but now like people who still want to do that, I'm just like, why? Like you do that enough with work. Like can we just be done with that already? You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe a convenience thing. Then maybe that
probably.
person's not for you, right?
Let me pencil you into my schedule for a Zoom date, you know, because I have another Zoom meeting for work. Like,
and
get over yourself.
Zoom date tomorrow,
right? Yeah, yeah. It's like an easier way to just like meet with someone, kind of face to face, like you know, through video before actually meeting them. But still, like, just stop. Like, we have enough technology. Like, everything doesn't need to be so technology based. Like. We need to get back to our roots of like doing things in person again.
Yeah, and I think that's the most organic way, like you said, to meet someone, and you're not going to know unless you meet them.
Yeah, and that's, I think, part of the reason why we have so much dissatisfaction in our lives to begin with is because of technology. Like, it's a very love-hate relationship, but when we don't have to use it or rely on it, let's not.
Exactly.
Because I can guarantee if I did a survey and asked everyone who's in a relationship or married, most of them are going to tell me they met their significant other in person or they had the best experiences meeting someone in person. So, I don't know. I guess those are just my thoughts on the whole COVID, like, Zoom, I don't know.
Zoom.
the way that things are now, like, I can't. I honestly wonder if, like, I'll just be single forever.
You're not. You're a good catch.
Like,
you are not going to be single forever.
No, I've needed time to come back to myself and, you know, have time to decompress and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, okay, let's say that I did want to put myself out there and date. Like, I feel like I would finds just so much frustration from trying to do everything from a technology standpoint.
It is, and I think, you and I are like very similar in that aspect. You just have to learn your limits. Like, you can be on social media, you could be on dating apps 24 hours a day if you want. Set a limit for yourself. Literally, if you don't want to get caught up in this wasting your time whirlwind or whatever, just set a limit. Hey, I'm going to go on here for like 10 minutes a day, see what happens. That's what I did. Honestly, no one wants to be on this thing. To be honest, nobody wants to be on dating apps. Nobody wants to resort to that, so to say. Is it the new way to meet people? Unfortunately, but at the same time, you still have access to creating your boundaries and presenting yourself how you want to be treated.
Yeah, like we say that. So we say that like dating apps are the new modern way, but that we also don't want to resort to them. So like what is it? Like at the end of the day, is it like you're doing it out of because you're desperate is why you're on dating apps? Is that how some people view it? Is that just the way things are? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right. I
I
think
don't know.
it's like it's the way things are, unfortunately. Like you said, everyone is so technology based
Because
now.
we've almost been pushed to have to do it that way. Like, oh, this is my last resort because I
Exactly.
haven't been able to meet someone in person. But
Right.
why don't we change that? Like, let's go back to trying to meet people in person. Like, for me, I've been trying to practice that like this
Mm-hmm.
whole year.
I was with you.
Yes, you were with me
We
both
had fun.
times.
We had fun.
Because I always like never like approach someone like even just in general, not just dating but friendships or whatever. Because I'm just naturally introverted and
Mm-hmm.
shy, but I really wanted to try to like put myself outside of my comfort zone and just go up to someone and start talking to them. So first time was on my birthday,
You
and
were so happy though afterwards. Like,
yeah, like it felt good because it does make you more confident. But the reason that I never did that before was because of like my confidence issues and just needing to like feel more confident in myself because I was always terrified of rejection. I think a lot of people are. And that's why it is scary to approach someone in person. We're afraid of rejection. And what I had to tell myself is like, it's not always about you, it's the other person. Maybe you don't mesh, maybe they don't want to be bothered. Like, was it meant to be? You know what I'm saying? Just because a person isn't interested in getting to know you further or doesn't accept your approach doesn't make you any less of a person, or it doesn't mean anything bad about you. And that's what I had to tell myself. You really have to get to the bottom of like, why do I fear doing this? So like if you can come to terms with the fact that okay, it's not about me, it's about the other person. You move on. It's not meant to be. Like, I'm not going to think less of myself because this one person doesn't give in to my advances, then on to the next. Just like people that have approached me that I maybe just didn't click with. You know what I'm saying?
that's a really good mentality to have.
Because you can't take everything personally,
No,
you know
you
what I'm
can't.
saying? And you'll never, if you like are always scared and put yourself in this box of like, oh, like what if they don't like me? Like you literally can't. And like you see those people who have true confidence in themselves, which is why they do approach people and talk to them. And you're like, man, I wish I could be more like them. Like, what do they have that I don't? Or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? I don't know. So that's just kind of like the mentality that I had to get to when it
Yeah,
came to like approaching people.
right.
So, did it for like the first time on my birthday. I was
That
very
was
proud
so
of
fun. I
myself.
was so
I
proud
had
of
to
you.
like talk myself into it. But I did it and I wasn't drunk. I didn't need liquid
No, you
courage.
didn't. I was very
But
proud
I
of you.
was like trying to find like an opener that wasn't like awkward because
You
I
weren't
never want to be
awkward.
that person that's like annoying or weird or you know what I'm
No.
saying? So, basically what I did, well, I got a free drink for my birthday because like the bartenders were just throwing drinks at me. So like that was kind of a nice, I guess, work to my advantage because
It
I
was.
basically just offered him like I think I offered him a shot.
Yeah, was it
Um,
like a lemon drop or something?
no, I don't
I
remember what
forgot.
it was. Something that like I didn't really want, but I
Yeah.
was just like, oh here, like you can have this, like whatever. And then I walked away and like came back and I was like, so how is the drink? And like I don't know, we just started talking. He was nice. He bought me a drink,
Hmm.
and we had good conversation. And then I did it the old school way, and I wrote my number on a
I
napkin
loved
and
that.
like folded it up and like gave it to him and was like, "You can text me if you want." Like I don't know, it was just one of those like, if you text me, great. If not, it wasn't meant to be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
that's just mentality that I had. But like when I was talking to him, it was just nice to have conversation, meet
Mm-hmm.
someone new, put myself out there, step outside of my comfort zone, because you have to do those things too, like if you want change. You can't just expect everyone to come to you all the time.
No, you can't.
So he actually did text me, but he told me that he had just got out of a relationship, so he didn't really like want a hookup relationship, etc., anything romantic, which is fine. Like, I'm glad he was honest.
Mm-hmm.
So again, wasn't meant to be. And then second time was on St. Patrick's Day, and you were the one that kept, it wasn't even for me, like you just kept talking about how cute this guy was every time he walked past, and I was like, Danny, if you don't go up to him, I will, don't make me. So I did, and my opener for this one, oh, I asked him if he could take a picture of us,
Oh,
because I feel
yeah.
like that's another good way to like, I don't know, I guess break the ice in a sense, instead of just walking up and be like, hey, so like, what's your name?
Well, then we asked about the band playing and stuff. Like,
Yeah, because like I heard live music, but like I didn't know where it was coming from. So when
mm-hmm.
he actually showed us, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. But tip for everyone out there, guy or girl, I think another great icebreaker is to just go up to someone, ask them if you can take a picture, because it's just like a normal thing. It's not like so awkward where you're like put on the spot and like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think people will like look at that more like, wow, those girls didn't just spend like 10 minutes trying to take pictures of themselves. Like,
Right?
we're like, hey, can you take this
Not
one
taking the
picture
selfies all
that probably
night.
won't turn out, but can you take it anyways? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I just try to like, I guess, be clever in the sense of how can I approach someone but not come off as like a weirdo. But so he was nice, showed us like the music part, and
yeah.
then I tried to like I went to the bathroom as a way to get you guys alone, but then when I came back, he left, and I was like, what happened?
I don't know what happened honestly, but it was nice that we gave we gave it a shot.
Yeah, at least I tried. But then I was thinking about it too, because I want to find a guy to come on the podcast to talk about like some of the same dating stuff, but from their perspective. Because
That
I
would
think
be interesting.
yeah, I think it's interesting to see both, and you need both sides, because it's not always like, shouldn't be one sided.
Right.
Because guys go through different things than girls, but like I want to know from a guy's perspective, like a girl that approaches you, do you find them to be more confident, or would you rather be the one chasing?
Mm-hmm.
Because, and that's the other thing with dating too, is sometimes I feel like it's such a stupid ass game of like, oh, well, I can't show too much interest and take a long time to respond. I have to
No.
play hard to get.
No.
I
feel
can't
like
do X, Y, and
no.
Z.
When you find the person that you're both like, you don't play games, right? Like if you like someone, you're gonna call them. Like you're gonna text them. You're gonna find a way. Is the bottom line.
Yeah, but I found that like in my past experience, like playing hard to get sometimes does work. Like some people like the game, not everyone, but it's like I almost feel like some of that rings true, and it's annoying.
I mean, it does, right? Like you don't want to be clingy.
Yeah.
But after you establish, yeah, start off slow, but after you get to know someone, yeah, then you both need to start making an effort, because guess what? If you don't, maybe this person's going to think you're not interested anymore. And then there's
That's
a whole
true.
plethora of other people on that app they're going to go back to.
That happened to me.
Like,
I messed up that first Hinge date because I was trying to basically like play it cool and
Yeah.
not show too much interest, and it backfired. So
yeah,
like,
play it
how do you
cool
find
to
the
an extent.
balance? I don't know, but like I do feel like there is some sort of dating game. I don't know. It all, like, honestly, it just seems so exhausting to me at the end of the day. Like, because I don't know, maybe it's because I just overthink every little thing too. So between like deciphering text messages, signals, your interactions, your conversations,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's a lot of effort and like mental things to process.
It is. And it's really scary to think that this is like all going on before you even meet this person half the time. So like think about all the energy. Like I cannot stress this enough. Like think about the energy that you're putting into these things. Like think about the amount of time you're willing to put. Think about the amount of energy. If you're spending so much time like composing a text message and like literally 15 minutes goes by, like I don't know. You need to think about things here. Like
Yeah,
maybe,
it's all
and
about
it's
finding that balance, like putting in
yeah,
effort, but not like
like not
overthinking every little
overthinking too
thing.
much,
Yeah,
right?
which I do literally. Like I am the worst. That's why I have to journal for
It's
hours on end because like I will literally overthink every
it's
little
not
thing.
you. I think it's like the millennial generation. Like everyone overthinks everything. So you put everyone who overthinks everything onto this little world of dating apps, and everybody's feeling the same way.
But part of it's not direct either. Like when we have this initial contact of like the apps and texting, it's
Yeah,
not like a face-to-face direct communication,
right.
which makes it easier to one overthink and have to like really think about what you're going to write about,
Exactly.
lie, not show your intentions, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's just sometimes it's exhausting, I
It
guess.
is. Well, and again, like you said, meeting someone in person is like, it's the best way to get to know. Like, even just observing their interactions, right? Like, how do they treat the server? How do
Hmm.
they, like, if they're picking you up, is their car a pigsty? I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's very
you
true
observe
too.
these little things about, so do they drink too much? Do they swear a lot? I don't know. Like, you're not going to find that out unless you go and meet somebody.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, how about when okay, another reason, talk about overthinking and dating apps. So remember when okay, so I needed to check out the competition, right? And I made an
Miss spit out
account.
this drink.
I made like only my brain would do this. Okay, so I made a profile as a guide to see what girls were in the area. Like, okay, what
Oh
are
my
these options that guys are seeing when they swipe through? How do I stack up against the
God.
competition? Like,
You're like, Danny, just
worse.
don't even do it.
I was like, don't ever do this
You're
again in
feeling
your
so
life.
bad
It's
about yourself.
terrible. I literally felt sick to my stomach because I did see so many people, I guess, that I viewed as competition or that were threatening to me because there were a lot of pretty girls and like they were drinking on rooftops and had like a perfect tan body in a bikini. Like I didn't post any pictures of me in my bikini, one because I don't have any, and two, I'd probably hate them. It's hard enough for me to take a picture that I like. So I'm like, God, like am I not like, is this what guys want? Do they want to
No, it's
see?
not.
But it made me feel like extremely insecure because I was comparing myself. Like I literally felt horrible. Like it's hard enough being on dating apps, then you go and do that. Like
Right.
I don't recommend it to anyone.
When you meet the right person, they will literally tell you that your profile was refreshing because you didn't look like that.
Interesting. So have you heard that from people that
Yes.
you've been on dates with?
Yes.
So what did they say that they liked about your profile?
That it looked like I actually put effort into it, that they could, like, after, obviously you can't tell, but like once you get to know someone, oh, like you actually like going outdoors, you actually, like doing these things. Like that's, I don't know, people, you could post a picture of yourself at a rooftop looking like you have a great life. You don't know this person. Their life might be a mess. Maybe that was one great day that they had. Maybe they edited their photo like to no extent. You can't compare yourself to someone that you don't even know that that's like what their
Yeah,
life is actually
exactly.
like.
But our brain falls into that trap
Yeah.
immediately when we see that because, like I said, someone curates their life so
Yeah.
perfectly, like, especially for an app. But, like you said, if all you're posting is pictures of you drinking, like, there's no substance. Like, what else is there? So,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you. Obviously, we wouldn't be friends if you were the latter of what I just talked
Right, like,
about, but
because
like,
we're both not
yeah, it's good to
that.
hear from your experience that guys did notice and comment on that in a
Yeah.
good way.
And a couple times. It's not like I obviously have not been on a million dates, but like the ones that have gone well find it refreshing, and I find that refreshing about them. I don't want to go out with a guy who needs to have some fancy little cocktail in the city like every weekend. Like you're not going to catch me there.
Right? Yeah, like let's post things other than just drinking,
Yeah, like what do you like? What are you passionate about? What do you do with your free time? Like that's more important to most people.
Okay, so yeah, back to I guess just dating app profiles. I mean, if that's all you do is like to drink, then I guess good for you. You'll attract those same people, but I don't recommend it if you have other hobbies.
Right.
Like I don't know. And this goes back to like dating apps aren't for me because I don't like to put too much of myself out there. So it's just about the balance, I guess, how you want people to perceive you too.
Yeah.
Like that's what information and pictures you're going to put out there. So I always say have a balance. Don't put too much out there, but don't just like make it where you're one-sided or only drinking pictures or where you don't put enough information about yourself. Like you said, there's people that literally put like one picture and like
Yeah, and there's people who literally put like where they live, their job, like
their
where
whole
they
life
grew up.
story.
Yeah, like I
Oh
don't
wait,
need
I
to know
remembered
all
what I was
that.
gonna say now after we were talking about that. So when I was on my little escapade of pretending to be a guy looking at girls' profiles, I can
That kills
say,
me. Like I thought about doing that once in my life, but you actually did it.
okay,
That's
well, like I said,
hysterical.
0 out of 10, don't recommend, so don't. But one thing I found, and this like is with guys and girls, like people who make it a point to be like, yeah, I don't even know why I'm on this app, giving it my last shot, like,
Right?
just re-downloaded this because, like, why would you put that automatic left swipe for me? Like, don't be so cynical and negative right off the bat. Like, even if that's how you truly feel, like, you're really not going to attract people when you say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, if you're asking yourself why you're on it, then maybe you shouldn't be on it.
Mm-hmm. Like there's so many like little taglines, whatever you want to call them, prompts that I'm like, why would you put that on there? Like, people put the weirdest things on there. I don't know what. I honestly don't know what kind of person
Oh my
is
god,
gonna
there was
be.
one that I screenshotted too that was so ridiculous. He literally was like, if you don't have this, this, and this, don't even bother. I don't get along with people. I will not respond. I do not support this. Like, and like some
Like this
people,
life story
right,
of
are
like
very
negatives.
blatant or blunt. Like, if you're just here for a hookup, swipe left. Like, okay, I get it, but again, comes across as negative. Like, it's not really inviting.
No.
So I personally, like, I don't recommend doing that. And then when I was looking at girls, like, a lot of them would be like, and the first guy that I went on a Hinge date with even attested to this. Like, some of them would say things like, I don't know, just really obnoxious things. Like, I'm not here to get my time wasted or just be a hookup. Like, I'm not just another notch on your belt or something like that. Like if you just want to use me, then move on. Like, just really like, okay, I get it. Nobody wants to like be used, and like if you don't want to hook up, fine. But like just coming across so again, and it kind of goes back to that self-righteous mentality,
Yeah.
like it's just very off-putting. It's a turn off. Like if a guy had that in their profile, I immediately would be like, I want nothing to do
Right.
with this. Like girls that don't smile and look like a bitch, like in their pictures, also like don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
and when I talked to that guy, I was like, yeah, like I actually told him I did that. He thought it was funny though. Like,
You tell me that part.
maybe
That's
he
funny.
thought it was endearing.
That's funny. I
Well,
like
yeah,
it.
he laughed. He didn't run away, so I guess that's a good
That
sign.
is a
But
very good
no,
sign.
I just told him like, it really was more so me just curious to like check out the competition. But I
Yeah.
did notice some girls did this, and like as a guy, I wouldn't have. It just was weird to me. He's like, I completely agree. Like, I don't like girls that don't smile in their picture. They have like a bitch mentality, like, or I'm a princess, like, I'm looking for my prince. You need to treat me like the queen I am, or some bullshit like that. Like, just
Yeah,
stop.
like don't say that. Like I guarantee like some of these girls don't present themselves that way. Like they might say one thing, but your actions speak way louder than words. Like how you present yourself on your first date and like through conversation is going to be way more important than whatever little prompt that you decide to
Yeah.
put on your page.
Or like I feel like it also when you come off the bat, like you put so much pressure to like you're finding your prince charming
Yeah,
or
like
like your
that's scary.
soulmate.
Like that's
Yeah.
weird, you know?
It
People
just
don't want to
makes
hear
it
that right
right. It makes
away.
it too like it needs to start as somewhat casual. Like you don't need to put all that pressure and be
No,
so entitled. Like
nobody
some
wants
people
that.
sound so entitled based off their profile. Like I was saying before, like just having that mentality of like I am a princess. I need to be treated like a queen. If you're not it, then move along. Like, swipe left. I'm not here for a hookup. Like, I wish I could go back and read, like, some of the things these people would
That's
say.
so
And then,
obnoxious. I
yeah,
can't
like, some
believe
of these
that.
girls, they weren't even smiling in their pictures. And I'm like, that just doesn't, you don't seem approachable. And the same would go for, I guess if you saw a girl that way in person too. So, not saying that you have to be smiling in every picture, but if you don't have one picture where you are, like that doesn't,
Yeah, or
you
like
know what
too
I
many
mean?
selfies. That just is like
Yeah, too
such a
many
turn off.
selfies.
Like, yeah, I mean, have a selfie or two, whatever, you're entitled. But like, if your whole profile is, my favorite is like people who look like they have like a little photographer that follows them around. Like, do you just have someone? Like, did you,
Right? I would
did
love
you,
to know who's taking
yeah, like
all
who
these
takes all
pictures of
these
you.
pictures for your profile? Who does that?
Well, okay, and going off of the smiling thing, because
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. So, obviously, just I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like don't make the perception of yourself to be entitled or bitchy. And same goes
Mm-hmm.
for guys. Like don't be an asshole and put all these stipulations out on the table right away. But then also like in person, like I've had, oh my God, the number one thing that pisses me off and turns me off
What is that?
is when guys tell you to smile.
Oh yeah.
Like, I find it so annoying and obnoxious. And I
Yeah, that
mostly
is
find it
annoying.
from older men, not so much like younger, but like I've
Right.
had a couple people or guys be like, you should smile, or you look like you're not having a good time. Like, that's not gonna make me want to smile and talk to you more because now you're just pointing out something about me, making me self conscious. Like, because some of us have resting bitch face. Like, okay, whatever. But like, it sounds commanding. Like, I want you to smile. You should be smiling. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't tell me how I should. I don't know. Something about it, personally for me, it turns me off. I don't like it.
No, that's like, yeah, you can't tell somebody what to do.
Like, I would never go up to a guy and be like, hey, so like, you should smile because you look like you're not having a good time.
like
Or
maybe you're not
you would
having a
look
good
better if you were
time.
smiling. Like, I understand that when someone's smiling, they are more approachable. I get it. But
Yeah.
if you don't have the confidence to go up to a girl that's not already smiling, then you should probably check yourself.
I agree. If she's not smiling, maybe she's not having
Okay,
a
why
good
don't you
time.
do something to make her smile
Yeah.
instead of like right off the bat? Like, I think some guys feel awkward and they think it's a good opener, but I could tell you more often than not,
It's
guys, if you're
terrible.
listening,
Take note.
it's not a good
The
opener.
worst
Don't
pickup
do
line.
it. Don't recommend it. There's so many other things you could do. Again, do something to make her smile, like crack a joke or I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like be more
Hmm.
creative. I don't like that.
Yeah, no, that's very demanding.
Exactly. Like it rubs me the wrong way, let me tell you. So I came across this post on Instagram that I saved because it resonated, and
Sure.
so I think it obviously relates to what we're talking about now. And the title of it was Five Reasons Why Dating as a Millennial Has Become Messed Up.
Oh
And
boy.
right, like give it to me. I want to know in black and white.
Yeah, right?
Okay, so the first one, we're in competition of who can care the least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely find that to be true, and that's how when we were talking, when you're texting with someone, it's so easy to act like you don't care when you don't respond. You take a long time to respond.
Oh, that drives me
You're
so crazy.
the way you respond, like you're thinking so much, like, oh, well, I don't want to show too much interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a game.
Right. Like, let's stop with the game. Like, if you like someone, just tell them. Like, I don't know. I just feel like things get so
Yeah,
lost in
like
translation.
obviously you don't want to be too available, but like find a balance. Like honestly, you're going to meet someone who's interested in you, and if you don't give them, if you're so used to playing games and you don't give them attention, they're going to lose interest in you right
But
away.
even like calling someone, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that can be seen as being too needy right away. But I guess in your case, it was like nice when the guy called you. But what about vice versa? What if the girl called the guy? Would it be the same? Or I don't know. Like I agree with that. That it's like, yeah, who can care the least? Like we're not willing to actually fully put
Yes,
ourselves
but
out there.
on that note, I've also been told at a certain amount of time, would it be nice? Would a guy be happy if they saw your name coming on their phone? Yeah, after a certain amount of time, if they start calling you and that's how they like to communicate, should you start calling them? Yeah, probably.
Right, like don't be afraid to make the first move. Like
Yeah,
approach someone, talk to them, text them first, ask for their number. If it doesn't work out, wasn't meant to be, on to the next.
right.
The next one, we expect perfection that doesn't exist. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess with this, like, because social media and dating apps curate like this perfect image, then we kind of expect that from the person or things going forward.
Yeah, I agree to some extent. I do think that people need to recognize, like, there are so many apps out there to edit your stuff. Like,
Well, right, like,
if you see a girl that has those rooftop pictures and looks
or
tan in the
even
middle of this,
filters or ways you can edit your
looks
picture.
tan in the middle of December but lives in Illinois and took the photo there, like, you need to be ready that when you meet this person, they're not going to look like that.
Or even just how I told you that guy sent me like that freaking survey. Like he's
Yeah, that's
trying like
weird.
let me have every girl fill out a survey. Whoever answers the most questions correctly, that's the one. Like again, seeking this perfection that kind of doesn't exist or
Right.
like having really high expectations of somebody. Yeah, I
That's a
don't
turn
know.
off right off the bat.
Right, like because no one's perfect, and to
No.
expect that of someone, especially when you first start
You don't even
dating,
know what somebody wants at that point.
I don't know. It's all. So to follow up with that point or that second point it brought up, we expect perfection that doesn't exist. It said we think we're entitled to a fairy tale life that doesn't exist. We write someone off for minor details and quickly look for the next best thing that will somehow find flaws in. We fail to realize that relationships are a balanced bond and that with amazing things come imperfection as well. And so I made a note with that, just talking about social media and how it also plays a role in just making us feel entitled to a fairy tale life, I guess, or having things not be what they really are. And I feel like I am saving an episode for
Like,
social media, so I don't
don't
want
get
to
me
dive
started,
too
right?
much into
Yeah.
to that because trust me, it's coming. But like I think that are we even flexible with people now to understand that everyone has imperfections, things aren't going to be perfect. Even if you have the honeymoon stage, obviously that ends and things require effort and consistency. And I just feel like people aren't willing to dedicate that to dating and relationships now.
They're not. But the whole thing, it blows my mind because it's like the amount of effort that you could be putting into getting like one or two people, you're spending just as much time like trying to balance like all these other apps and things and people, and that's getting you nowhere.
Or even like one misunderstanding or miscommunication, someone automatically writes you off and ghosts you for that. And that more than anything
Oh my
pisses me
gosh.
off because it
Yeah.
happened to me, it happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I don't even remember. It was like you guys hung out and he was kind of in like a weird mood and you brought it up to him and basically he thought you were overreacting, but it's like
Yeah, but after you know someone for like 6 months, is that overreacting or are you just trying to find an excuse to like
yeah,
not put in any more
exactly.
effort? You
Right.
know, that's what I came down to. At the moment, did I feel upset? Yes, but did you help me recognize that like maybe that was just a lack of effort? Yeah, that's all it is. People just don't care.
Well, yeah, people don't know how to communicate. So
Yeah.
I do see like it is so easy for people to just kind of write someone off after like
Mhm.
one thing they don't like or they did something this one
Mhm.
time. Like, let's be a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Ghosting and unclear intentions are too normalized. So it says when we've lost interest, we simply stop responding. We don't need to tell them. We're left constantly wondering where relationships are headed, if anywhere, and plague ourselves with wondering if we're wasting our time. No one is clear about their intentions. Some lie about it entirely just to have their ego stroked for a while. And I found this from the account is called Classy Quotes page. And I definitely think, I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier, but huge, huge issue, especially with dating apps, because it's that instant gratification. It's the endless options when we're bored, having our ego stroked. It's just so easy to simply stop talking to someone. And I
Mhm.
wonder, like, I should ask my mom or someone, who is like
Sure.
from a different generation, like, when you were dating someone and you weren't feeling it or you had to cut it off, would they just cease communication and
Ah.
basically ghost, or did people actually have the balls to be like, you know what I mean, like
They have the
just say what they
ovaries to
needed to
say,
say and be
yeah.
like, hey, because honestly that's less painful. It really just is to rip the band-aid off and be like, I like you as a person, but it's not working, I don't see it going anywhere, like, because then you're not left wondering, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like ghosting's just so stupid. I
It's so
mean,
cowardly, honestly. I think it's really disrespectful. Like, especially if you had plans with someone and you ghost them before. It's just rude. People are busy these days. Like, if you're going to make time to get to know somebody and you're just going to, like, step away out of nowhere, like, just have the courage to say why.
Yeah, like if you already know you're never going to see this person again or you don't want to, then
Yeah.
what does it matter texting them, being like, hey, like you as a person, but I just don't see this going anywhere.
Yeah,
or,
I
you know
don't
what
care
I'm
if it's
saying?
like one date. Like, if you go on one bad date and that person texts you afterwards and says, hey, I had a great time, like, we should do this again, and you're not feeling it, like, have the courage to tell that person, because they might have more interest in you than you do in them. Tell them, you know what, honestly, I'm not interested. You don't need to go into detail.
Yeah,
Give them
you
the
never have to
courtesy.
see them again.
Yeah,
What are you fucking afraid
exactly.
of?
Just,
Why can't you just say
yeah,
it? Like,
just
I
close
don't
the
get
door.
it. But the problem, too, is, like, people get ghosted even after being invested with someone for 6 months thinking it's going to lead to a relationship. So what the fuck do you do then? Like, you literally, and sometimes you're blindsided with it.
Right.
Like, you literally are spending so much time with this person for months on end, and then they just one day ghost you. Like, I don't understand that.
I think it's people get scared, right? Like, people realize, like, something's real. Like, oh my gosh, this thing is real, but I also have this plethora of other options out there. Like, am I ready to, like, step into something real, or do I want to keep going on this thing? Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't get it. Why would you like run away from something you're scared of or just treat people like they're disposable? Because that's essentially what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. It just really doesn't sit well with me in this generation and why I hate dating apps to begin with. And I don't understand how it became a thing. I don't. Like, I want to go back in time and figure out at what point did ghosting become a thing. I need to know.
It's
I,
a problem. It really
I can
is.
probably say it started with these stupid dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really know for sure. And then I actually found another account. It's called Heaven to Earth 111. And it talked about why ghosting is so confusing and hurtful. And it said it unconsciously triggers memories of emotional neglect or fears of abandonment we haven't processed. It activates our childhood attachment wounds with not being seen or heard. These repressed emotional experiences come back to the conscious surface and feel so painful regardless of how we feel about the other person. And yeah, like that's so true. Like, I mean, we've all had different childhoods and upbringings, but regardless, like ghosting is never a good feeling. Doesn't matter if you were thinking the person was going to be your boyfriend, like you're really always left wondering, why did they do that? Is there something wrong with me? What went wrong? Did I say something? Like, that's not cool. It's not okay. It does trigger like a lot emotionally too.
Oh yeah. Sometimes, I mean, like you said, I've heard people get ghosted after being with someone for like a year. Like, what are you supposed to do?
I heard about that. This girl that was on The Bachelor, yeah, she
Mm-hmm.
was dating this guy seriously for literally a year and he ghosted her. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, like I said, I think it's people think like this is something so real and maybe they're not ready for that, or like they're scared. And like that's understandable. People get scared. People,
But
they're
let's
not
say it's
ready.
not.
But if it's not, whatever the situation, you need to have enough respect to tell that person that cares about you. Like, you they everyone has different emotions. Like, you might not realize that you're hurting somebody, and you need to make sure that you kindly tell them what they need to move on.
Yes, and I'm not saying that you should feel guilty.
No, it's
like if
nobody's
you want to
fault.
go someone, like don't feel guilty for needing to cut it off, but like
No,
at
never
least
feel
have the
bad.
at least have the decency to tell the person, especially after you yourself have invested so much time. Like, why would you just do that? Like, and that's what I guess I'm having such a hard time processing, is like why people treat others like they are so disposable. Maybe this person upset you so much that you never wanted to talk to them again. That's fine, but like at least like tell them, hey, like going forward, like I don't see this working out. Like I just don't, like I'm not pursuing this anymore.
But most of the time, like you said, ghosting does not go that way. It's out of the blue. It's like out of the blue, or like one little mistake happens after you get to know someone, and then like you always give them the benefit of the doubt, but you make one mistake and then
yeah,
it's done.
Well, I think it's like I said, it's the other person does something to irritate this person or make them mad so much, or maybe they weren't feeling it for a while, or again, there was a misunderstanding because of lack of communication, and they just find ghosting to be the easy way out. But like, again, let's not do that, because at the end of the day, it always isn't going to feel good for the person. Like I said, it's not just not responding to someone. Like I said, it really is going to trigger someone so emotionally to the point where they think that
there's something wrong with
exactly
them.
There is something so wrong with them. Like, it can really just leave such a bad imprint and affect someone mentally. Like, don't do that to someone. Like, just be honest. Like, and we lack communication skills really bad across the board. Like,
that's all it comes down to.
Yeah,
is communication.
I just feel like going forward, anyone listening, like, let's like break that cycle of ghosting. All you have to do is send one simple text. You're not required to have any sort of follow-up explanation.
No.
You don't even need to explain yourself.
No.
You know, just be like, I don't see this working out, or I don't want to see you anymore. Like, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like to have no communication at all is just not okay.
No, people need to have closure.
Right, exactly. And when you don't get that closure, it's not good mentally.
No, it's not.
So, I don't know. Yeah, that's another part of it. I think ghosting is like a huge reason or problem with dating apps, and why people find a lot of dissatisfaction. And the fact that it is normalized now too
is not normal.
Like, why? Since when did ghosting become normalized? This isn't a normal, effective means of communication. Let's stop it.
It's
immediately.
Cowardly. It's so cowardly. It says so much about a person, honestly.
So the fourth one, we're too strategic about our responses. Responding right away comes across as desperate and too available. This also gives us more time to change our behavior to suit theirs when communicating, and once we meet them in real life, we struggle to match who we are on text, which can result in getting anxious once meeting. So yeah, we already kind of touched on that, how like sometimes we overthink and we're putting more effort into like texting than need be, or we're so curating ourselves through dating apps and text messaging, and so maybe sometimes it is completely different once we meet that person in real life.
Yeah.
Did you ever like find that with your experiences?
Yeah, I think like you don't want to text back like right away. Like I don't find that attractive either, but I think like waiting like days to text someone back, especially like when you're in the process of making plans, like this person's going to make other plans by the time that you get back to them. Especially when there's, like, other options out there. Like, it's going to happen.
Yeah, that's just stupid. Like, obviously you don't want to come across as desperate or up someone's
it's
ass.
Just common
but, like,
courtesy. Like,
don't wait 3 days to respond also.
Yeah, someone's going to lose interest.
Yeah, just make sure that when you are texting and talking to someone in real life and making your dating profile, that you're not too far away from who you would be in person. Okay, so the last point that this post brought up about why it's hard dating in this generation is because we've become content with being alone. We're fine on our own, so we won't leave our comfort zones for anyone. Sometimes we even find minor trivial reasons not to, because we're secretly happy with things just the way they are. This goes back to my I don't know, how people just aren't flexible or willing to put themselves out there sometimes. Like, you're just expected to go to someone's house and Netflix and chill or do what's convenient for them. So essentially we're too set in our ways. You know, like, just if you think that dating isn't going to require any effort of having to leave the house and get dressed up and go somewhere, like, then you should probably, I don't know, like, put things into perspective. Like, again, it's like I had that experience with a guy that literally just expected me to come to his house when I didn't even know him, you know, like, yeah. And again, this all goes back to like things that I touched on with making a point to approach someone, ask for their number, just put yourselves out there more and have that social human interaction. You know, just let's not be so content with being alone and like being at home watching Netflix or just scrolling on our phones, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, like people can do that on their own. If they're looking for a connection, that means they want to go out, they want to do things, they want to connect with someone. They can watch Netflix at home by themselves. They can,
yeah, like, and you're not going to find people or dates by just, like, staying in your comfort zone, not willing to put yourself out there. Like, get outside, be active, do hobbies. You know what I'm saying? I know it has been more challenging with COVID.
It
Like, I
has.
recognize that, but let's try to like find ways to
We have
work
to
with
get
what we
creative.
have. Exactly, get creative. So that was the last point with that. And also, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was like reading signs, like when you're with someone that you're starting to talk to or like on a date, like I guess that they show interest. I don't know. I guess the psychology of things has always interested me, especially when it comes to like attraction and dating and like all that. So I found that you can tell someone is genuinely interested when they make eye contact. Eye contact's huge. That's like number
Huge.
one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Body language, if they're facing you, if they mimic your body language, if they're close to you, wanting to get closer, if they brush, against you or like touch you slightly, that's another indication. And then I'm trying to think what else. I feel like for girls, I read like they fidget sometimes, like they'll play with their hair or touch their hair or like fidget with their jewelry. Like I actually realized that like I did that, like looking back on that first date, because I
Mm-hmm.
was interested and I was like doing that stuff, like
You touch
not
your hair when
realizing
you're
it.
nervous.
I know I touch my hair a lot in general, so like I definitely probably do it when I'm nervous too. And then I don't know what, like for you, have you picked up on any signs that you recognize when someone's interested?
I feel like eye contact is like so awesome.
Yeah.
It's like that's when you know like you're interested in someone, especially if it's like consistent.
Yeah, because that's when they say the eyes are the windows to the soul. I don't know, I'm trying to think what else. I guess like if someone's doing the opposite of that, then like they're
Then
not
you
like,
know they're not
yeah,
interested.
because I've been in like a position where like I had a date that like I wasn't into and like I would break eye contact a lot. I felt extremely uncomfortable. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I think body language too, like,
Right.
is very important. You can read someone that way. After you get to know someone, like, do they not want to hold your hand? Do you want to, like, just little things like that can also kind of say something about a person.
Another thing I noticed too is like if someone is not asking any questions about you,
Yes,
that's a
that's a
big
really good point.
indication. Yeah, that's something I've picked up on. Like if
Yeah.
someone is genuinely like asking questions about yourself and it's like a natural like ebb and flow, that's a really good one because like I don't know that guy that I mentioned that
Hmm.
I went up to and like gave him my number, like I kind of noticed like with our interaction he didn't seem as interested to get to know me, and so I picked up on that right away. I mean, I've always been really good at like picking up on people's social cues. Others are not so much,
Yeah.
which is why I wanted to mention it now. But yeah, I definitely think showing interest and just asking questions about you in general is huge.
Which is good quality that you have because you're really good at making conversation and asking questions, but it's
Thank
also good
you.
to pick up on when somebody else is like not reciprocating and you don't nobody deserves that, right?
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the whole like trust your instinct and like get the vibe that someone's giving off too. I mean, obviously, like if it's comfortable, you're both interested and tune in with each other, you're gonna notice. But like if you feel like something is off or you're having to put in more, like
Mhm.
be aware of that.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess for me, like I I don't really care about dating right now, but this I told this to you. I'm pretty sure that one psychic that I just
Oh.
have to bring it up because it makes me laugh. So obviously everyone knows like I love psychics and all those things, and the last one I talked to, she was like very specific about basically who I was going to end up with. So
Oh,
it's
that's
crazy
right.
because she said the same thing that like another one had said.
Mhm.
So that's kind of how I know they're legit too, is like if they'll say the same things as
Sure.
another. But basically, they both said like, okay, you're gonna be between someone older than you and younger than you, but you pick the person that's older. So that was very general with like what the first person said, but then the second one, and I actually want to have her on the podcast because one, she's hilarious, and two, like I just feel like she would be a great person to, I guess, discuss like psychics and that whole aspect of
Oh, that'd be
things.
so fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm gonna reach out to her soon. But she was like a lot more specific. So When she told me the same thing about being caught between two people, I was like in my head, like, oh my God, like I've already been told this before. Like, what?
What does this mean?
Yeah. So she's like, okay, the second one, or no, she's like, the one that's younger than you, he's going to be a couple years younger. He's going to have dark hair, be a hot mess express, work, do something with like music or the arts or whatever. And she's like, that's going to be him, probably like a Pisces or a water sign. And then she's like, the older one is going to work in business. And she's like, I almost picture him looking like Captain America, like clean shaven, like whatever.
That's like polar opposites.
Right? I know it kind of is because she mentioned the other guy has like stubble, but clean shaven is my type. Like I'm not like a huge beard girl, so like I'm like okay, that makes sense. And she's like, he's probably gonna be like a Taurus or an Earth sign. I'm an Earth sign, and she's like, he's gonna be like your daddy Warlock. But be like older and established and more mature and whatever.
Sure.
So I don't know. I'm almost trying to like get it out of my head because I don't want to like just keep thinking that's gonna happen. But I think I heard it at a time that I needed because I really like right before I had heard no. So it was right after this, like I was going through like a horrible time, which like I'm gonna talk about this more in a later episode. I'm saving it for that, but to the point that I was having like super dark thoughts and just not in a good place mentally. So I think I heard this information when I needed to kind of give me hope. Yeah, exactly. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're super desperate to figure out like your dating life or why you're not having any experiences, talk to a psychic because they might be able to give you some clarity like they did for me. But yeah, I just wanted to like wrap it up with something silly and positive. So, this episode was fun. It was long, but we touched on a lot of good points. Like it was just interesting even getting set up to do it and
super interesting.
I know. Thank you, Danny, for being so patient and like coming on and talking about your experiences. I just adore you. We can literally like do nothing and laugh all day long.
We can.
So yeah, I mean, man, going back to high school days just cracks me up. Like
we've come a long way.
Right? We've come a long way. Some things have changed, others have not though, which makes me happy. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was great. Again, I hope that you guys enjoyed it and there's always something that you can take away. So sending love to you all. Until next time. Bye.